Sam Howell has been somewhat of an enigma this season for the Commanders. On one hand, he's shown flashes of his talent this season. He's able to put good zip and speed on the ball when he steps up into his throws. He's got a good amount of arm strength, and he has a big time throw percentage of 5%, showing that he's willing to be aggressive and take a chance sometimes. But Howell's also shown some downsides this season. His pocket presence can be better, and he plays too reckless sometimes. He likes to be on the run a lot, but that can lead to him creating his own pressures and sacks, and that aggressiveness can cause him to put the ball into harm's way too much. While it can benefit the Commanders, he has the 7th highest turnover-worthy play rate in the NFL at 3.6%, harming his team more times than not. Given this is the year the Commanders wanted to see what they had in Howell, I wanted to take a deep dive into how his season has gone so far. I wanted to see for myself what he's good at, what he's bad at, and ultimately if he's earned another year as Washington's starting quarterback. There's still 3 more games left to go for Washington, so he still has time to prove himself. But I think we have a large enough sample size to analyze Howell's play accurately. So let's get started and take a look at Sam Howell. The first thing I want to look at is how Howell's aggressiveness creates those good and bad plays that I just talked about. We could start with the positive plays like this one against the Patriots. It's 2nd and 10, the Commanders are down 7 in the 3rd quarter, and Eric Bieniemy dials up this play with all routes coming from the trips look on the wide side of the field. All of these receivers are manned up, and Howell will look to find Jahan Dotson on his 8 route. Howell puts this pass on a rope and trusts that Dotson's speed will get the job done, and it does for a deep touchdown. Even though there was another defender near the play, Howell took a chance and put the ball in the right spot to make the play happen. The next play I want to show you is this one against the Giants. We're getting a cover 1 look here from New York, and Howell is again going to take a chance going deep. This time, it's a 9 route to Terry McLaurin. The coverage is tight the whole way, but McLaurin being a couple steps in front of Deonte Banks allows Howell to have a little bit of space for this throw. But he's going to have good ball placement here, as Xavier McKinney is barreling down to cover this pass. But Howell throws a really good pass here, and it gets there before McKinney can make a play on the ball. Nice ball placement from Howell, and another chance is paid off. And even when there's a lot of defenders in the area, Howell doesn't get fazed. This is a 1st and 10 play against the Broncos, and Denver is running quarters coverage here. We have another 8 route here, and the intended receiver is again going to be McLaurin. And just like the last play, there's going to be little space to throw this pass. Once Howell unwinds, there's going to be 3 Denver defenders who all have a chance to make a play on the ball, as these 2 defenders keen on the deep dig route are going to bail and close down McLaurin once the pass is thrown. But Howell puts a good touch on the pass to put the ball in the right place, and McLaurin is able to high point the pass and catch the touchdown. Howell dropped this dime in the bucket. This isn't a post or a vertical, but it's a deep pass, so I'm going to count it here. It's 3rd and 10 with a minute left in the 4th against the Seahawks, and Washington is down 7. He's going to target Dyami Brown, but he's in an area with some defenders all around him, as Seattle is trying to prevent anything from getting behind them. Brown stops here, but tracks further inside to find some green grass. Devon Witherspoon isn't seeing Brown's movements behind him, and Howell is holding him in place with his eyes. Once he's held him there long enough and Brown finds the space, Howell fires a laser into a tight window that somehow ends up in a catch before Brown takes it all the way for a touchdown. But other times, the aggressiveness Howell shows can hurt Washington, and more so than other QBs who take as many chances as he does. Let's take an example from Washington's Week 3 disaster against the Bills earlier this season. The Commanders have a 3rd and 19, so Bieniemy is going to send 3 deep routes down the field against some of Buffalo's deep zones. There are some checkdowns open, but given the situation, I can see why Howell wanted to push the ball downfield. But it results in some over-aggressiveness when Howell tries to find Brown at around the 15. If Howell layers his pass well enough, he could potentially complete it. But he doesn't throw it well enough to get the pass over Terrell Bernard, and he makes the interception after a great leap into the air. This play wasn't even Howell taking a chance because his receiver was wide open, but it's another example of him failing to layer a pass over defender like the last play. The Giants are playing cover 3, and Dotson is going to get a ton of space after running this deep crosser. If Howell is able to hit him, this is a big chunk play in a game where points were at a premium. But Howell underthrows the pass, giving a gift to Deonte Banks for an easy interception. This is a 1st and 10 from Washington's home game against the Giants, and Howell is again going to target Dotson, this time on an 8 route. Nick McLeod is going to be aligned with Dotson the entire way, and Dotson won't be able to get behind McLeod because he's just going to bail in zone coverage. Nevertheless, Howell targets him anyway, wanting to push the ball downfield, and he just overshoots this pass. There wasn't really any reason for Howell to throw this out in front of Dotson given the coverage, but instead, it's an interception. And turnover-worthy plays don't just count interceptions either, they count plays like this against the Rams as well. LA will drop one safety back to create a two-high cover 2 look, and McLaurin is going to run a 9 route straight into John Johnson's deep half zone. Any throw here will be difficult to make because of that safety and Akila Witherspoon sinking deep, but Howell tries it anyway. And not only does Johnson read the deep route like a book, Howell's pass isn't even good enough to make it over the top of Witherspoon, and he nearly intercepts the off-target throw. The tight angle shows us that Howell was glued to McLaurin for the entire play, so not only did he see this coverage and throw it anyway, he didn't even make a good enough throw to justify his decision. Not a good play. Something Howell also likes to do is throw on the run, which he has the tendency to do a lot, and it's another thing he's hit or miss at. Let's start with the good plays like this 3rd and 9 against the Falcons. Atlanta is going to jump off sides here, giving Howell a free play to do whatever he wants here. The route that Howell is going to target is this crosser from McLaurin, which is the right idea given he'll be the most open once Howell scrambles. Once he throws, he fires a dime to McLaurin down the field that's driven right into his chest. It's off platform, it's out of structure, and it's done to perfection. Really good play from Howell here. On this play against the Eagles, Josh Sweat is going to immediately beat this left tackle and get pressure on Howell. But he doesn't flinch and makes a great play in spite of the pressure. We have a cover 1 look from Philly here, and Dotson is going to get open after running this crossing route over the middle. Once Howell notices the pressure, he does well to stay poised and find Dotson downfield before firing a nice pass that's accurate and in stride for a first down. But he also messes up with these kind of throws. Let's go back to that not so great performance against the Bills to see an example of this. It's 3rd and 5, and the Bills drop one safety down to create a 1-high cover 3 look against this route combination from the Commanders. There are 2 problems I have with Howell here. The first is that he starts scrambling when there really isn't that much pressure. His first read wasn't there, but that's no reason to just immediately take off. And secondly, he tries to target Dotson later in his scramble, even though he had him wide open when he started it. Howell makes this play chaotic all by himself, and he throws it to Dotson with AJ Epinesa right in the throwing lane, resulting in an interception and a pick 6. Something similar happened on this play against the Rams. The Commanders motion to create a 2x2 look with this route combination, and the key players to watch here are these 2 skill guys. McLaurin is going to be wide open when he stops his route right here, and Antonio Gibson is also going to be open coming out into the flat. But Howell is reading the other side of the field, and the pocket collapses a little bit before he starts to scramble, so I can see why he missed McLaurin and why he starts to roll out. What I don't understand is then trying to target McLaurin later in the play by throwing across his body, which is a cardinal sin for any quarterback, especially when you still have Gibson open right in front of you. He gets a bit unfortunate here with the interception because it's tipped, but this is still a throw Howell didn't need to make. And now for the big topic of discussion surrounding Howell this season, which is that he just takes too many sacks and creates lots of unnecessary pressure. At the time of recording, Howell has been sacked more than any other quarterback at 59 times, but his offensive line is actually better than you might think. It isn't great, but Washington has the 17th highest pass blocking grade from PFF. Certainly average, but definitely not a bottom tier pass blocking unit. Some of the sacks are indeed on him. Here's an example against the Falcons. It's 1st and 10, and Howell is going to be reading the wide side of the field where we have this corner from Brian Robinson and a double post from the 2 receivers up top. None of these routes are going to be that open, but this shallow drag from McLaurin is going to be open. But for some reason, Howell doesn't make the throw. He holds onto the rock for too long, and he ends up taking the sack after missing the open receiver. This is good pass protection here, but bad quarterback play. Here's a sack he took against Denver, which was weird. Let me explain. It's 3rd and 5, and the Commanders are going to run with this route combination to try and convert for a first down. I'll give Howell credit for rolling out when he does, because the pocket isn't exactly clean, and there's nothing open downfield. Howell can make a play out of structure, so he was correct in choosing to do so here. The problem is that in the middle of rolling out, he just stops. He looks back towards the left side where there's still nothing open, and him stopping allows Randy Gregory to catch up and make the sack. He had the right idea to scramble, but essentially sacked himself when he stopped moving. I don't even know what Howell was looking at here, and he was better off just throwing the ball away. That's why I'm putting this sack on Howell. Here's a 2nd down play against the Bears, which is another sack I'm putting on Howell. The Commanders have a 3x1 look with Byron Pringle on the weak side of the passing strength, and he's going to run a drag route across the field against Chicago's zone coverage look. But once the play begins, Howell is going to look downfield towards these 2 routes on the strong side of the passing strength, and in doing so, he's going to take an unneeded sack. The reason is once he steps up in the pocket, he does so while still being indecisive about where he wants to throw his pass, especially considering the man that sacks him, Yannick Ngakoue, is well blocked by Charles Leno here. But because Howell steps up aimlessly, all Ngakoue has to do is disengage from Leno and get his hands on Howell. Howell making that movement made Leno unable to guard his man, and it resulted in him taking another sack. All Ngakoue had to do was just step to his left here. I'll give him a little bit of slack on this play, because nothing is going to be that open downfield, but this is still a sack I'm putting on Howell. It's 3rd and 10 against the Rams, and LA pulls out a one robber look against this route combination from the Commanders. No receiver gets any kind of separation, but Howell just steps into a sack here instead of trying to scramble or throw the ball away. I mean, literally, he just goes right into 53 here and doesn't really make an effort to get away from the pressure, and that's why I'm putting this sack on Howell. Every sack is different, but when watching Howell, it's hard to deny that he does hold on to the ball for longer than he should. Could Washington's offensive line improve so it could be above average at pass pro? Yes. But can Howell try to avoid these sacks more often than he does? Also, yes. Both things can be true at the same time, and this is currently something that holds Sam Howell back. His accuracy is up and down as well. He's surprisingly more accurate on deep balls when he's trying to push the ball downfield. Howell can layer the ball over the top of defenders, find space in order to fit the ball into a tight window, and place the ball into an area where his receiver has the best chance to make a play on the pass. But when it comes to other throws, his accuracy declines. He's more off target, he can't thread the needle as often as he can on deep passes, and sometimes he just misses a receiver completely. It's a problem, especially considering he currently ranks below average amongst qualified quarterbacks when it comes to on-target percentage. He also has a tendency to keep his eyes glued downfield, meaning that sometimes he neglects the intermediate and short parts of the field entirely. Everything Sam Howell does has its positives and negatives. When he throws on the run, he's just as likely to make something good happen as he is to make an ill-advised decision and create unnecessary pressure. When he takes a chance, he's just as likely to make a big-time throw to help his team as he is to force a pass that could harm his team. He's shown flashes of how accurate he can be, but he's inconsistent with it. He is chaos personified and a true whirlwind of a quarterback to watch and evaluate every week. Should he get another year as the starter in 2024? I don't really know. There is a case you can make to retain Sam Howell, but you can also argue that the Commanders can do better. Howell plays quarterback like he's holding a gun to himself and his opposition, and you never really know which trigger he's going to fire first. And again, he's shown flashes of his talent all season, but he doesn't have the extreme amounts of talent that other quarterbacks have to justify the kind of play style he has. Washington will have to decide for themselves what they want, but if they do decide to keep him, he's going to have to iron out some of his weaknesses. That'll be it here. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Leave your thoughts in the comments and share this video with others. And as always, thanks for watching.